Powerhouse, presented by Alliant Energy.
Alliant Energy, we're on for you.
It's one of the most important safety features in your home, the circuit breaker. Join us today is Tim Rood with Wired Right, a division of Rood Electric Service. And Tim, first let's start by explaining what is a circuit breaker.
Well, circuit breaker and the circuit breaker box are the heart of your electrical system. They're at work 24 hours a day, maintaining and monitoring electricity throughout your home. The circuit breaker itself is located in the panel box. The breakers themselves monitor the electricity, distribute it throughout your home, make sure that the proper amount's going out over the wiring to protect your home and the wiring itself.
Now, how do I know if I'm getting too much flow, too much energy in here?
Most of the time the breaker is going to trip out on you at that point. The breaker is sized properly so that if that current flow exceeds what the wiring should handle, it'll shut off. Occasionally, if someone plugs in something temporarily, a space heater, or you've got a big family over for Thanksgiving, you may have a tendency to overload certain circuits, but usually you can plug something into a different spot to smooth things out and have the circuits work.
Now, what do we do if we've had a breaker that's been tripped?
If the breaker itself trips out, resetting it's very easy. A lot of people are pretty hesitant to get into the electrical panel. It's kind of intimidating. But most of the time you can tell the breaker that's tripped is going to be in the trip position, which is kind of in the middle. It's going to feel kind of soft if you push it towards the on position. At that point, you simply turn the breaker all the way off and then turn it back to the on position, and it should reset. If it doesn't, or if it trips more times than are appropriate, which is, if it trips 2 or 3 times, there may be something else causing the problem.
Now let's talk a little bit about maintenance in twofold. First, I know you're going to take off the box here, the cover, I should say. Yes, for the average homeowner, what kind of maintenance do they need to be concerned about?
Well, the average homeowner, if you can keep the cover on the panel, that's a big part of it. We would try and keep the dust and dirt, anything that can get into the panel, into the breakers, we want to keep that cover closed. We also want to make sure that there's no visible openings or any openings that aren't being used that are open on there. You don't want little fingers getting in there into things that they shouldn't be touching.
As far as having an electrician come out, now we were talking a little bit about, you should have regular maintenance, right, by a certified electrician?
You really should. No one would even imagine going out and buying a car and trying to drive it 100,000 miles without having maintenance performed on it. Your home's electrical systems, it really is the same way. As I said, this panel monitors electricity 24 hours a day. It's always working. It's really quiet, but it's always working. So what we would want to do is we want to come out once a year or so and kind of take a look at things. Now what we're going to do is take the cover itself off and be able to inspect some of the breakers inside of it and the connections. We're just going to take a look at just about anything that's behind this cover that we can see. Now this panel itself actually looks in really good condition. It's a newer installation. It's got standard breakers, it's got arc fault breakers. We've got a main breaker up here that's going to shut off power to the whole house if we needed to. But we've got connectors in the proper places. It's kept clean. The connections are some of the things that we are going to check. We would check the connections to make sure they're tight. We're going to take the time to actually do a thermal check on the panel itself also. And we do that by running our little thermal gauge down over all the connections in the panel.
And you're just looking there, Tim, for temperature?
We're looking for any kind of drastic temperature change. And I say drastic, and it could be as simple as 5 to 8 degrees, 10 degrees, that can indicate something being loose. Electrical connections and temperature go hand in hand. Where there's one, there's probably the other.
Okay. As we look at this and you point out, these two here are a little different than the other breakers.
Correct. These are arc fault breakers. Now, arc fault breakers are designed to detect electrical arcs before they actually even happen, before they can cause a problem. An electrical arc, if it's inside the wall of your home, could cause insulation, wood, plastic, just about anything to catch fire. Now, right now, they're required to be used in the bedroom areas. In 2008, when the 2008 code comes into effect, they're going to be expanded to other areas of the home, but they really are a great technological advance, and it really is a good safety feature for the home.
Now, if I have an older home, an older breaker box, can those be installed?
In a breaker box, yes. If it's a fuse box, there may have to be some additional work performed in order to have those put in.
Okay. But we should be looking to update again our electrical system, right?
You bet. You want to make sure electrical system, typically they're going to last about 15 to 20 years. So a lot of times people think that they shouldn't run into a chance where they need to do any replacement. But again, maintaining them properly is really going to extend that lifespan.
Now you mentioned that 15 to 20 years. I think most of us probably move into our house and think the electrical system's fine, it'll last as long as the house is here, but that's not the case.
That's not necessarily the case. Some, if they are properly maintained, are going to last longer, but there are a lot of things going on in here 24 hours a day. There's connections throughout the panel, and you may have a breaker that would decide to give out on you prematurely.
Tim, what would it cost to have an inspection by an electrician to take a look at our electrical system?
Well, prices are going to vary. They're going to depend on the size of the panel. There are quite a few factors that are going to fall into that, but whatever the case may be, the most important thing is that you have somebody come out and check it. It's just not one of those things that a lot of people think about, and we want to make sure that they are thinking about it to make sure that the panel is operating the best that it can 24 hours a day, so it's there when you need it.
Well, Tim, a lot of great tips that you shared with us in terms of saving time and money, and also for our viewers to protect their homes. Some great information.
Thank you.